Alicia from the Wool Shift Dust podcast, ready to take you for the drive through the new reveals and teasers of Season 3, Episode 6 of Silo on Apple TV.
And I'm Luke, just back from hanging out with Lucas and Patrick Kennedy in the single Martha shoved them into because Kennedy wouldn't shut up. Why is it always Patrick Kennedy, by the way? Why is it never just Patrick?
I don't know, because why do we call Robert Sims more often, but Bernard Holland mostly Bernard?
Yeah, and we've got to get out of that habit because we really do need to start calling them Camille and Robert because there are too many Simses now.
Well, I do say that's why in the recap things I do try to specify which is which. But I'll be honest, the reason why I call one Bernard and the other Sims is because that's how people refer to them in the book, and of course there's no Camille, so it's less confusing.
It's less confusing, yeah.
But anyway, we are here for our weekly Silo season coverage, continuing with Season 3, Episode 6, The Drive, where mysteries, new and old, begin to converge. Before we begin, Luke, what is the full official spoiler policy for this podcast?
So the discussion will be spoiler-free beyond what's already aired. So it's full spoilers for Seasons 1, 2, and the first 5 episodes of Season 3. Alicia has read the books. I haven't. So Alicia can bring up anything from the books that we've already seen on screen. But to protect my and your spoiler innocence, there'll be no future book spoilers. Except we are allowed to discuss the new in-universe show booklet, The Mystery of the Pez by Robert Sims. See our separate bonus episode breakdown of that surprise Apple Book short story drop from earlier this week.
Yeah, so as we discussed there, that booklet is not from the book universe, but it's from specifically the show universe. But there were some fun little details revealed. We went over them in that it's a much shorter episode podcast. I recommend listening to it first if you haven't yet. I recommend reading the short story before that if you haven't yet. But we will feel free to bring up some of the fun little details we learned there here as well if we like. And of course, even though I am the book reader, this show leaves a lot of room for speculation. So if I'm speculating, it's genuine. If I can't say anything, I just won't. But if you want the full spoiler discussion and deep dives into the intricacies of the book version of the story, I have a separate book club podcast with fellow reader Abby for that. Stick around until the end of the episode to learn more. Now, before we get into the episode, I saw just before we started recording this, actually, there was a Discord message that popped up from Phenomena, and it says, responding to our need for an alternate Simsnard scale now. And Phenomena says, maybe we should call it the Pez scale. And the question is, how likely is the person to be an ally if you share a red level relic with them?
That is a very good call, Banana.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is a very good call. But the problem is, we're 3.5 seasons into a 4-season run. I'm not changing scales now.
You're stuck with Simsnard.
I'm stuck with Simsnard.
But I mean, maybe that's another way we can think about it. I was saying that my interpretation is currently that it's who do I trust to tell me the truth? And I might keep that because I guess I've learned that that's important to me, that I just want to know who I can trust to say the real thing, even if it's a hard thing to say.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
All right, let's get into Season 3, Episode 6, The Drive. This is the new longest one at 54 minutes, released Friday, August 7th, 2026 on Apple TV. This one was directed by Ulrich Riley, who is a new director to the series, but already a prolific TV director in his own right, a Jamaican-British director who has directed episodes of, for example, The Walking Dead, Lucifer, Bridgerton, Spooks, lots of NCIS and similar, which I think is what they're tapping into for this sort of noir show, as we've said.
Yeah, actually, yes. Yeah. You can actually see... Yeah, that makes sense.
And he won a BAFTA in 1999 for Stanton Blues, which is also called The Cops. Do you know that? I don't know that one. It's a British show, though. Okay.
No, I don't. No, I don't know that.
Hmm. And this one was written by friend of the podcast, Saul Calleros, who's also wrote episode 4 of season 2, The Harmonium. And if you haven't yet, I highly recommend listening to my interview with him, my conversation with him after season 2 concluded. You'll find that wherever you're listening to this in the same feed. This is, of course, based on the Silo series of books by Hugh Howey, namely the main trilogy, Wool, Shift, and Dust. And the plot of this episode is Billings and Hank stumble on a new mystery. Daniel and Helen receive a surprising proposition. What are your overall thoughts on this episode, Luke?
I felt this was the point in the series where the whole thing seemed to get kicked up into a higher gear. I think next episode we're going to see a lot of information revealed to Daniel and Helen. I mean, good grief, was that a cliffhanger? I mean, when a character comes out and goes, "How do you want to save the world?" You can't end it there. You've got to tell me more. I need to know more. I thought it was very interesting that the voice, what we're now calling the algorithm, because that's how the characters refer to it, spoke to Camille in the way that it did at several points during the episode. I thought it was very interesting that it allowed itself to speak to Juliette, given what we saw at the end of season 2, where it booted Robert Sims and Anthony out of the vault. I thought it was very interesting that it allowed Juliette to be brought into presence.
You can't ignore Juliette. It's doing that.
And that it responded to Juliette. But if any harm comes to Shroxy, I riot.
Well, seems like they're not going out now.
Yeah. We do find out that there's a lovely little vignette in the middle of the episode where Knox talks about his father. And, like, the intensity with which Shane McRae delivers that is like sucking my soul through the screen. Like Remy Milner and Shane McRae do that scene beautifully. And yeah, just I would quite like the show to end with Knox being mayor. I think he'd be good at it. But like a proper mayor of a free silo, not with all this pack nonsense.
Okay. Yeah, as for my side, I'll say, so we're recording this before the episode comes out, so we don't know what the audience rating of this will be, but I noted that last week's episode 5, has an 8.7 on IMDb, which makes it the highest rated episode that's not a finale of the show to date. Now, that being said, I actually liked this episode more personally. And I think it's because the last episode, I understand why people like it because it ties together all the pieces. But I guess in my mind, I'd already tied together those pieces. So it was just kind of like a lot of confirmation, like, and this one is teasing new things. Like they are really going full noir in terms of the complexity of the plot. I'm like, wait, how many side plots do we have going now? And how many of them are going to intersect? And I enjoy that a lot. So
yeah, like I really hope they know what they're doing in terms of tying them up. Yeah,
of course they do. I mean, and they've already finished all of the season 4 scripts, so the whole story is done. They were able to do seasons 3 and 4, write them side by side. So yeah. Shall we get into it though?
Yeah, let's.
All right.
Your regularly scheduled breakdown will begin in 3, 2, 1.
So as usual, we will be going plot by plot rather than scene by scene because they're all woven together, starting with the marriage gap. We're going to start with Silo 18 this time and then do the before times, starting with the marriage gap. Picking up right where episode 5 left off, Camille Sims, Alexandria Riley, takes the chairlift down across the gap to meet her husband, Robert Common, who tells her that Juliette, quote unquote, got away. Camille knows this is bullshit, and she sends him home to spend time with their son, despite his protests that he can help. And she even tells Emerson, Florrie, and Claire to have her team of raiders keep an eye on him for his safety.
Yeah, who are you kidding, Camille? Because you're not kidding us, and I don't think you're kidding yourself. By the way, how well shot was that opening?
Oh yeah.
With Camille in the little chairlift and
Mm-hmm.
everybody in the people from mechanical repairing the gap in the stairs. It was
Yeah.
really well shot.
Yeah, shout out to the cinematography this episode. It seemed like this sort of swooping shot that really made use of the full set that they
Yes.
have, this full silo set that they have. I wonder if it's still up, to be honest. I hope they didn't strike it. They should just like make it a place people can pay to visit.
Yeah, it would be a great place to do escape rooms.
Oh, true, that too.
Yeah.
Although I guess there's safety concerns, but
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, if it's safe enough to film in. Anyway. But so Emerson soon checks in from the janitor's closet surveillance room to tell Camille that the address she's looking for is Martha Walker's workshop on level 144. But Teddy, Olatunji Aofi, is on watch and sees them coming and can alert the others. So yeah, I mean, just Camille and Robert, we're obviously going to talk more about them in later scenes that go deeper, but just like this opening where she's like, he's like, I could, like, she got away. And Camille's basically like, she doesn't say this, but she's like, you realize, you know better than everyone that there are cameras watching all the stairs.
But it also, is it just me? But like when the camera sort of swings around and you see Robert Sims standing there, and like, was there a second there where you thought Robert was thinking, I'm going over the rail here, I'm going over the rail here?
Oh no. No, I don't know. But yeah, it's worrying start to a worrying episode for the couple. And so I don't know, after this, I mean, we'll talk more, but like, do you think these two crazy kids are ever going to get back on the same page?
They've got a long way to go at this point, and I think they're going to be driven further apart before they get back together. I mean, and also, like, the thing is, it was very much in season 1 and 2, it was very much them against the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you never got the sense that either of them had many friends or even acquaintances outside of work, and they never really needed anybody else but themselves. And I think what both of them are kind of struggling with a bit is, who are they outside of that marriage? Who are they outside of that couple? Because I don't think either of them has had to deal with that question for a very long time.
Yeah, I do wonder how long they've been together. I guess we don't really know.
My headcanon is that they met at school. They have that kind of very long-term couple energy to them.
Well, so we know Robert joined Judicial at age 18 because of that booklet. And we know Camille used to be a raider as well. So I guess my assumption is they met there.
Yeah, or possibly they went into the same career together. I just have they have that we met at school kind of energy to them for me.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll keep checking in on them. But first, we're going to be workshopping some Bernard and Seek. Shirley, Remy Milner, and Knox, Shay McRae, help burnt up Bernard, Tim Robbins, move into his new temporary hiding spot, Walker's Workshop, where Martha herself, Harriet Walter, Lucas, Alvinash, and Patrick Kennedy, Rick Gomez, await. The latter two very surprised to see him. Juliette, Rebecca Ferguson, rushes in to tell them that she remembered on her way upstairs what she learned from Jimmy about the safeguard. And Lucas remembers those strange lines on the schematic of the silo they found on that red level relic hard drive. And Bernard tells him the line leading into IT on level 19 is an external power source, as demonstrated when Mechanical temporarily turned off the lights in the silo last season. So that means the line leading into Judicial on level 14 must be the pipe they are looking for, the pipe Jimmy's parents capped to temporarily prevent the safeguard from taking effect in silo 17. And I'll just say that matches what because I still remember, I didn't take the forget drug. I remember that is what Jimmy told Juliette last season. So, but Juliette is struggling to remember the details of the blueprints Jimmy showed her. And Lucas points out that any blueprints they might have would be on that hard drive, which is, of course, back in IT, now controlled by Camille. So their best hope for more answers is to find a way to get in touch with Jimmy. But Juliette says she doesn't think they have any radios. Just then, Teddy bursts in to warn them that Camille and the Raiders are coming. They're going to have to move Bernard again. Which they don't actually do, to be honest. I mean, we'll get back to that
really.
in the next scene. But I think Juliette just is like, I'll go outside and distract them instead. Like, when are they going to take him? I don't know. But Luke, you were right. They took him to Martha's in the first place. That's where they were going.
Yeah, I get a small number of internet points for that.
I have to give a compliment to Avinash for Lucas. You know, he plays Lucas, for his portrayal of like the complex surprise at seeing Bernard again, who is his old boss / truth teacher / tormentor. And you just see like the blinking back of emotions and the complexity of his feelings. Like, I don't know. Do you think he's happy to see him, sad to see him, confused to see him?
I mean, I think from Lucas's point of view, Bernard put him through hell, but he also gave him the greatest gift anybody could give Lucas, which is access to the vault, access to
the legacy,
and like this treasure trove of knowledge and culture, and just a world that can test all of the theories and ideas Lucas came up with. So yeah, Bernard put him through a lot, but he also gave him the greatest gift anybody could give somebody like Lucas. So yeah, I am absolutely with you. And Avinash plays that scene beautifully. Avinash, he's a very sort of, everything he does as an actor is very small scale. It's a little twitch.
It's subtle.
It's subtle because that's who Lucas is. He is good at controlling his emotions. So yeah, it was really well played.
Yeah, it made me almost tear up too. Like, oh God, just the shock of it, I'm sure, you know?
Yeah.
Patrick, of course, had a more Patrick response. Anybody else coming back from the dead? And this is where you said there's 2 Holston references. The old sheriff, maybe his wife. I was like, Luke, I thought of you. My heart broke from you.
Fuck you, Patrick. Fuck you and the horse
Not
you rode
funny.
in on. Yeah.
Not funny, Patrick.
Not funny.
Yeah, so, and then they also said, by the way, that Teddy, who I just said was doing lookout for them, he saw them move Bernard, so he's also in on that part of the secret for keeping track of who knows things. It's like basically all the characters we care about know things now. And I also will touch on this more in another scene later, but there's some interesting anti-flirting going on between Bernard and Martha this episode.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Isn't there a small part of you that's happy to see me? And then later she says, Carla said, if I liked men and you liked people, we'd make a great couple. What do you think of this evolving relationship? It's obviously not going to become romantic, thankfully, but
yeah, no, it's, and this is the thing again, like, Bernard put Walker and Carla through a lot last season, but Martha is such a basically decent human being, and let's face it, they do still need Bernard. It's not, she's not doing this entirely out of kindness.
Yeah,
Bernard still knows a lot more than everybody else in this little Scooby gang. So, but yeah, no, it's a nice bit of acting. By the way, there's something I wanted to bring up here, which is Tim Robbins' performance. Obviously, he's doing the entire episode with this very croaky, burnt voice. And, like, that must be incredibly difficult to do consistently without, like, wrecking your own throat. So I'm wondering, is he wearing some kind of prosthesis? Is this?
I think he's just
like
doing
a set of dentures or something.
No, I think he's just doing that. He's just,
yeah.
I hope he got lots of like breaks and honey and tea and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I think as far as him and Martha, just the fact that he's humbled a lot, and he's also, I think for him, the moment Lucas told him about the safeguard, and it's like the 1-2 punch. First, Lucas told him about the safeguard, and that just like deflated everything out of him. He's like, all the horrible things I've done, what is even the points of any of it if they can just kill us whenever they want? And then combined with running into Juliette, and her reflating him with hope again when she said, I might know a way to do something about that. And I think that just really humbled him. And we have seen in the last 2 episodes since he's been back that he does seem full of contrition, like we're talking about in that booklet that we talked about in the bonus episode, that that Sims was like, he was pressing on his wounds a little bit out of anger. And he was like, but I think Bernard wanted it, wanted the pain, wanted the punishment.
Yes.
And we saw that also with Knox and Shirley. He was like, if you drop me, I understand.
Yeah, it's partly played for humor, but I do think it's Bernard scourging himself as well to some extent, because all of this stuff he did that was in the, and we probably only know about a very small amount of all the dodgy stuff Bernard did over decades of being head of IT or shadow to the head of IT. And he's always been able to convince himself that it was for the greater good of the silo.
Yeah.
Like he said last week, he was always worried about some maniac trying to open the lid. But actually, that's not what he should have been worried about at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right. I think Bernard thinks he deserves this to some extent, and I think as well, part of it is just playing for a little bit of comic relief for the audience as well. And Tim Robbins is very good at delivering deadpan lines, but yeah, I do think there is a sense of like Bernard feeling that he has to atone somehow.
Yeah. And Lucas, we find out why he went into the mines. It wasn't just to hide. He was looking to figure out what those 2 lines on the schematic were. And Patrick again. Yeah, well, you're an idiot. They're not going to put some killer pipe where people dig all day. But Lucas says he almost made it to the IT line when the mines were gassed. And we find out that the IT line is, as Bernard said, electricity, but specifically that it comes from Silo 1.
But it's like, Patrick, either be helpful or just shut up. Like,
it's helpful to me as a viewer that he makes me laugh.
You're not doing anything. You're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. Quit being part of the problem.
I mean, I did not blame Martha when she says later, like, I had to send them. Like, poor Lucas is trapped in some single with him somewhere. Yeah.
And in fairness to Rick Gomez, he plays obnoxious very well.
No, I mean, Patrick is like, I think he's not in the books. And I think he's become a fan favorite and definitely a personal favorite of mine.
But yeah, stop being an instigator, Patrick.
Yeah. But were you surprised, or did you expect that the IT electricity was coming from Silo 1?
No, I mean, no, it wasn't something I'd thought about. But when Bernard said it, yeah, that makes absolute sense. So do we think that means that Silo 1 is considerably bigger? Like, why? Physically bigger than the other silos?
Because it's generating electricity for presumably for
itself.
50 itself and for 50 IT departments.
Yeah.
Maybe, well.
So, like, it's got to have a lot more generating capacity, presumably.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it has a different kind of generator. I don't want to say too much.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know how much it'll be like the book, but yeah.
We can move on then. But
maybe you're asking good questions. Yeah.
Okay.
I know about the book, though, something I do feel comfortable saying is a difference is, one thing is we know that Juliette didn't come back and have memory loss in the book. That's been openly discussed. That's a different storyline that's transported to this part of the timeline for adaptation reasons. But one of the big changes from last season is that when Juliette left, they were using radios, and radios have been used differently in the show. And I'm being careful about this. This was the special topic of last week's spoiler cast. But so Juliette and Jimmy, she left Jimmy with a radio, so they could just call in the book. And now it's more complicated than that in the show. Of course it is.
Yeah, because they had to add more complication, didn't they?
Exactly. Make it harder. But I think there's other reasons too, which I'm skirting around that we'll talk about in the future.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Juliette's request for the voice.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
When Camille makes it to Martha's workshop, she finds Juliette waiting for her outside. Juliette asks for a private conversation away from the cameras, telling her she remembers everything. She knows about the voice and to stop playing games. The refuge hut was bullshit. Juliette went into another silo, and it's not dead. There are kids in it, and Juliette promised she would go back for them. Juliette wants to request permission to do so from the voice directly. Camille's not so keen on this idea, but the key fob to the vault begins buzzing. The voice wants Camille to report in. So Juliette joins Camille in the vault. She tells the voice that she wants to send people out to save the kids in Silo 17 and bring them back. And Juliette agrees with the algorithm that it shouldn't be her, as the silo would react badly to that. And we find out also maybe she's just doesn't want to repeat the crawling over the bodies experience. But when the voice also forbids bringing anyone from a different silo back into 18, Juliette says she and the kids will all take the forgetting drug if she's allowed to do this. So Jules picks Shirley and Knox to lead the field trip as two expert engineers she trusts, and Shirley wants to do it, though Knox wants to send Teddy in her place, because Shirley wants to continue to keep it a secret that she is pregnant with Knox's child.
Oh my God!
There's going to be a Sherlock's baby. The algorithm, or I hope there is, the algorithm obviously doesn't like Shirley and Knox as a choice, saying their absence as mechanical/generator experts increases the risk to the silo as a whole by 34%. And Camille didn't like it either for similar reasons. So Juliette chooses Lucas and Patrick instead. And the voice agrees to this, telling Juliette to get them to prepare to leave at dawn. But after Juliette leaves the vault, the voice tells Camille that it has no intention of allowing the pair to reach their destination. This is just a convenient way of getting rid of two people the algorithm has long recommended taking off the board. Thoughts on this storyline?
Yeah, I mean, like I said at the top, I am surprised that the algorithm chooses to engage with Juliette. It probably felt it didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Particularly at this point.
Yeah.
I do like the whole back and forth between Camille and Juliette. You just talk to it.
You just talk to her. Yeah. She's uncertain.
Yeah, because Juliette's suddenly going, "What do I do?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I mean, I think actually the algorithm makes a good point about Shirley and Knox. You can't really send them both. I mean, obviously Juliette does want to get the kids, but she also wants to get Jimmy and the safeguard-related intelligence. But I thought it was interesting. The safeguard didn't pick up on your heart rate is increased or any
Juliette's
of the other
a good
stuff.
liar.
Yeah. So is it that Juliette is partially telling the truth and therefore that makes it a better lie? Or is Juliette just a better liar than Camille is? And in which case, by the algorithm's own logic, Juliette would make a better head of IT than Camille.
I think Juliette would make a pretty good head of IT. Although she wouldn't do the things that the algorithm wants.
Yeah, this is the thing. She's not as pliable. She's not as morally pliable as Camille.
But it is like the case if someone takes what do you call it, the lie detector test, the polygraph.
Yeah.
It is the case that as long as you believe what you're saying, it won't pick it up as a lie. And Juliette, she's not saying the part about like, actually, there's another with the kids is an adult man named Jimmy. I want to ask questions about shutting down the safeguard so you can't hurt us. She doesn't say that part. She just, that's a lie of an omission. But everything she does say is absolutely true.
Yes,
like all the
that's
stuff.
true.
There really are kids in the other silo. She really did want to come back for them. It's kind of a half truth where she says silo 17 is flooding and they're going to die. And it's like, well, Juliette does know she taught Jimmy how to keep draining, and she saw him do a practice dive to test the airtightness of her makeshift suit to go back outside. So she probably doesn't think the death is so imminent, but she did promise to go back. That part's true.
Yeah, and Silo 17 is not in a good way. You know, it's overgrown. There's only a small number of people left in there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's probably not somewhere where the Jimmy and the kids want to stay long term.
No, I'm sure she's worried about their long-term, prospects.
Yeah.
In general. Yeah. And she also says something like, I don't think Camille buys into this, but she says, people treat me like a living founder. If I jump off the stair, they'll follow. Want to see what else they're willing to do for me? Which, two things. First of all, it again brings up that religious idea that we talked about more last week, where, people are holding Juliette and the founders in religious reverence. But also, I think Camille knows Juliette well enough that she wouldn't believe that Juliette would actually do something that would harm other citizens of the silo, even if it was to turn them into an army on her behalf. Like, she didn't want them to become an army on her behalf when she went out to clean. That's why she was so desperate to get back.
Yeah.
But Camille probably thinks it's not worth the risk, I suppose. Mm-hmm. When Camille's key fob buzzed and Juliette's like, oh, are you sure there's no cameras here? What do you think? Like, was the voice calling Camille because it could see and hear their conversation from some camera that even Camille doesn't know about? Or was it because they went off camera and it didn't like that?
No, I am strongly of the opinion that it's the first one. I think there are a fair number of cameras that only the voice has access to. I think the silo and the Silozans are even more surveilled than Camille and Sims realize.
Could be. Although it seems like definitely the voice lacks information, like the whereabouts of Patrick, Kennedy, and Lucas.
That's true.
So Martha later asks Juliette if the voice is a person or a machine, and Juliette says, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
That is such a good piece of foreshadowing, because I don't know. Camille has a conversation with the voice later on in the episode where the voice shows a degree of empathy that we haven't seen before. Now, maybe that's just sophisticated AI, and maybe that's just manipulating Camille to do what the voice needs her to do. But that's the most human I've ever heard it sound.
I mean, we'll talk about it specifically what you're talking about in a bit, but I will say that I called it therapy speak.
Yeah.
And even if it's a human, it doesn't mean that's not following a script, just like a computer program could be following a script. So I would say that could still go either way.
Yeah. But to be honest, I'm 50-50 on this at the moment. I keep going back and forth on whether it's a complex AI or whether it's actually a person. I don't think we have enough information to say clearly one way or the other, but it's certainly a good question.
I mean, if it's a person, it's not, to use a Dune term, a mentat. So at least they are using complex AI to perform calculations like testing Camille's breath for cortisol or calculating the probabilities of, bad things happening if A or B or C happens.
And how many sensors are there in that room?
Good question. Now, as far as the choice of who to go outside, Juliette points out to Martha later, whoever we send has to be able to wade through thousands of corpses to get in, and not to mention to guide the kids calmly back out through that afterwards. And first of all, in what suits? Maybe Jimmy's had time to recover more suits if they've.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, how are you going to get multiple people from one silo to the other?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically she's laying out that people need a certain temperament, a certain calmness and steadiness and bravery to deal with that literal horror show that's waiting for them outside Silo 17. And this is where she says, if I had the choice, I don't think I could do that, which she already did do that, obviously, but she's clearly traumatized by the thought of voluntarily doing it again. But she also points out they've got to be strong physically, because she really had to wedge her way in there. They have to be strong physically and emotionally. But they also have to be smart enough to figure out the whole puzzle of the pipe and the situation. So on the smart enough part, I do think Lucas and Kennedy are the right choices. Do you think they're the right choices for the other stuff?
You mean Knox and Shirley?
No, I mean, ultimately it's Lucas and Kennedy. So like Bernard says, they need to be engineers, the best you have. And this is also why she chooses Knox and Shirley. But ultimately, the choice is Lucas and Kennedy.
Yeah.
And I do think, and it's not that I think Knox and Shirley aren't smart. I just think that Lucas and Kennedy are defined by their intelligence more.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see next episode, but I'm not sure anybody's going out.
Okay, fair.
But yeah, I mean, I do love the bit where like Martha and Juliette and Bernard are talking about this, and Martha and Juliette come to the same realization in the same instance as to who it's got to be.
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah.
To be honest, though, sending Lucas out makes sense from the voice's point of view. I'm not sure it makes sense from Juliette's point of view, because like Lucas, other than Bernard, Lucas knows more than anybody else.
Yeah, but that's that's why I'm saying in terms of the puzzle part of the equation,
I guess
he would be the best choice because he knows so much and because he has a puzzle brain like that.
I guess, yeah.
And Kennedy, for all his smart mouth, has also shown himself to be a very clever guy.
Yeah, that's true.
And probably has enough backbone to he'll make a lot of commentary about the sea of corpses, but he'll wade through it.
I would question about whether either of them are physically robust enough to actually make the trip.
I mean, yeah, I think they can make when it comes to like prying it open. It's not. They're not as physically strong as Juliette, Knox, or Shirley.
Yeah,
maybe Patrick. I don't know. I don't want to underestimate either of them.
Okay.
And Lucas might have a wiry strength, but certainly like the people who work in mechanical do physical things every day. Versus, and Patrick was in maintenance that requires some physicality.
That's true.
Maybe not quite as much. Lucas from IT, though, I guess he worked his muscles in the mines a bit.
I guess.
By the way, internet points to everyone who said the scar on Shirley's hip might be related to birth control. So here's the question: did she take it out herself?
Well, let's be real here. Knox and Shirley are not in a sanctioned relationship. Mm-hmm. So I assume that must have been what happened.
I mean, they could be in a sanctioned relationship. I don't think anyone doesn't know they're together.
Yeah, I'm going to say
they're not subtle.
Yeah, they're not subtle. They might think they are, but they're not.
But also, I'm going to give you some internet points, Luke, because I think it was
undeserved. That was entirely coincidental.
Yeah, but you were predicting unknowingly when you said last week that Knox would make a good father. I did like a Leo pointing meme when it turned out they were actually pregnant. Like, well. But yeah, I can see from Shirley's perspective, like I see not from Knox's perspective, like I don't want you to go out there and lose both you and this baby. But from Shirley's perspective, she's like, let's be honest, who can do it better than the two of us together? And she's worried now about the entire silo getting killed before her kid's even born. And that's pretty strong motivation to make sure it's done right.
Yeah, if this is an unsanctioned pregnancy done outside of the lottery, what will happen to the baby once it's born? Will Knox and Shirley be able to raise it, or what? There must be some kind of punishment in the
There
pact.
is.
Yeah.
So there's a character in the book called Mission, who I keep mentioning because it's from this part of the story. It's from the 140 years ago rebellion part of the story in the book. We're not getting that, but we're getting those storylines. We've seen them pulled up to the present timeline. But Mission was such a child, and Mission was allowed to live, but kind of with like a stain on his name because of it. Like the IT guy, his name is Mr. Wick in that part of the timeline in the book, and I call him Wick the Dick. And he would call Mission a zero because he wasn't supposed to be alive. But Mission's mother was sent out once it was found out that she was pregnant and refused to get rid of it.
Oh, okay. So
She was sent out to clean.
yeah. So hopefully that part of the pact has been rewritten by
I'm going to assume at this point that they are sanctioned, though. And so maybe the doctor took it out.
Okay.
But then, like we saw, if they won, well, maybe. Okay, here's the thing. Also, so we saw the whole thing.
Are they not kind of too curious and rebellious to be sanctioned?
Yeah. Well, okay, but here's another thing. So we saw in the Holston Allison thing about winning the birth lottery, but now we know that they lost a bunch of people in the rebellion. So the birth lottery is going to be a little more loosey goosey. But yeah, you bring up the good point about them being too rebellious.
Yeah. So, but yeah, maybe the lottery, and yeah, maybe the lottery is going to have to be a bit more loosey goosey now. But yeah, still, Sims, Knox and Shirley. That would have been an interesting couple. Yeah, Knox and Shirley would not be your first choice if you're looking for docile people who will do what they're told.
If Sims and Shirley got together, like would they punch each other?
Oh yeah, that would be some great hate sex. That would be.
Although Knox, we've seen his temper flare more than once.
Yeah, well, in this episode, yeah.
Yeah, and even yeah. But speaking of tempers not flaring, it really seemed like the voice / algorithm was considering / calculating Juliette's proposals. And she's like, I'm not working against the silo. I'm not working against you. I'm not a threat, which again, half true because she is working against the safeguard. But she does want to save the silo. But it seemed to like I just picture, like the Windows wheel spinning, thinking loading.
Yeah.
Not sure how to interpret that. The algorithm says. I did love Camille says later in the episode to Juliette. Juliette's like, the voice gave me permission to pick people, and Camille's like, that's nice, but until it grows a pair of arms and learns how to walk, I'm the one who opens the door.
I thought that was a very interesting line because that also applies to the adding the vitamin D plus.
Well, she did go through it. But I do think overall, in some ways, like with the vitamin D plus, I mean, we'll talk about what possible motivation she might have, but it does seem like in that regard, she starts to see the point of it. And, this is why she's like, all right, let's pull the trigger. But then also, on the other hand, I feel like there's a lot that happens this episode that makes Camille start to question the voice, to question its omnipotence, at least.
So I'm sort of worrying. I'm sort of wondering whether Camille did actually go through with putting the vitamin D plus in the water supply. It's just that line about until it grows arms and legs. It's like, yeah, the algorithm, the voice can insist on however much it wants, but people have actually got to do this.
All right. So just to set up that part, so it's just, all the plot points that we're going to talk about in the rest of this section might become moot because the final conversation of the episode between Camille and the voice, she informs the voice that she began the release of the vitamin D plus memory drug in the silo's water supply 2 hours ago. And we do see her that she's pulled this guy Asa, who, by the way, played by Ross Armstrong, the plumber from season 2 that she booted from his apartment to stash Knox and Shirley there while they were on the run from Bernard's murder framing games.
Yeah.
So that was the same guy, another callback. And so she tells him, it seems like she's like pulled him up in the middle of the night. He's like, do I have a choice? And she's like, not really. And she tells him to disable the osmosis filtration. And it seemed to me like that was like confirming that that she was going through with it, because she did hand it off to someone else and tell him turn off the water filtration. So I do believe that she did it.
Okay. And so if that's the case, and the vitamin D plus has been in the water for 2 hours, how long do we think before it will start to have an effect?
Low and slow. So it'll be gradual. It'll be gradual. Yeah, yeah. And I do think she also did it because it was more urgent with Juliette's memories back. And she's already been, quote unquote, infecting everyone around her. But I do wonder if she has other motivations. So, yeah. All right. But, Camille also, she is not trusting Juliette at all. She's like, I think you're making a play, which she's not really wrong, of course. But the thing is, the thing that Juliette wants to do to stop the safeguard would also help Camille, would save her son, would save all of them. And so part of me, like, if Camille and Juliette could just trust each other more, then they might find they're more on the same page than they realize. But Juliette's also right when she says to Camille, you lied to me for months. Like, what do you mean you don't trust me?
No, that's absolutely fair.
I do wonder, though, like, Juliette thinks she'll go back to being mayor after all this. I don't know. We'll see. But on the other hand, like, Camille, I still am not writing her off as evil. I think we know she cares about her kid, but I think there is Alexandria Riley is another one who's doing like great facial expression work in this show.
Yeah, really good facial acting.
And just in the conflicts, the internal conflicts that this character is going through. And I feel like she must have some empathy for the fact that there are kids over there who are alone. And I wonder if the algorithm senses that as well.
Yeah.
What do you think was going on when Camille walked into the vault at one point and she calls out to the algorithm and she's like, hello, are you there? And she's like, just comes in walking, expecting, immediate response. Like,
yeah, the algorithm to like instant, which makes me think that maybe it is a person because it didn't respond straight away. And when it did respond, it was annoyed. It was irritated.
Yeah, what is a mistake? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, she's after more than the children, if they even are children. Like, okay, first part, you're actually correct. Second part, the children are real, okay?
Okay, yeah.
They're real. There's a baby.
But yeah, I thought it was very interesting that like, and the algorithm was annoyed, or that the voice was annoyed, and you're meant to understand that the voice was annoyed. This wasn't something that you could read into it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could read it either way. It was clear in its intonation that it was annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
So that made me think it might be a person or people.
And Camille's having doubts because she's like, with the whole thing, if there are any children, she's like, you don't even know, do you? But to be fair, if the silo's dead and all the cameras are out there, then how would it know?
Yeah.
But I think it's also it's like kind of figuring out that the Wizard of Oz is just a man behind a curtain situation.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
Like,
and I also like
you're not God. Yeah.
I also like the voice going, you're not really, you're basically here for an argument and I'm not going to engage.
Yeah, but then there's, so there's that, but then there's also like the voice says that it doesn't matter whether or not there's kids there. And that's Like, let's be honest, whoever's behind it, whatever's behind it, whether it's cold feeling technology or even more chillingly, if it is human, the fact of the matter is a choice was made by the algorithm to kill Silo 17, presumably.
Yes, they activated the safeguard.
Children and all.
Yeah.
So why should it care about the children there now?
Good point.
Small note, I noticed when Camille came in at one point that they showed her with a code that ends in not 2038 like I thought it was, but 239. So I'm like, is that a new code?
Yeah, did they change it with every head of IT?
I know, because we saw her enter the other code before.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. But I can imagine that they don't want like Robert to just be able to walk in since he knows the code. I thought it was funny, both Camille and then later the voice, when they find out like that Juliette knows about Kennedy and Lucas. It's like, you know where they are.
Yeah, and I'm not telling you.
Yeah, and of course this is why Juliette knows they'll agree to sending them. Yeah. I'll say, yeah, I think Juliette, I think she suspects that she can't trust the voice. She must, right?
Yeah.
I will say that this whole field trip thing, there's something similar, but also very, very different that happens in the books. It's related to the hopes of like finding the kids and Jimmy, basically. And in that case, Juliette appointed a character named Courtney, who doesn't exist in the show. She's been folded into Shirley for the show to lead this situation to try to get the kids. So I was not surprised that she wanted to appoint Shirley here. But then when it switched to Kennedy and Lucas instead, I was like, no, but those are my two favorites. And of course, the algorithm is looking for a reason to kill them. So Juliette must anticipate that the algorithm wants them dead.
Yes, I would think so.
So I wonder if she's, I don't know, has any tricksy plans to prevent that interference?
Yeah, and if so, how?
I mean, we know like she's got supply on her side. Martha can hook her up with whatever good tape she wants or make sure the suit's properly made, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Bernard can double check it too. Maybe they plan to send them with a radio, I would guess, or, you know, make sure that they can monitor what's happening with them rather than IT monitoring it, because they do also have at least one hacker on their side. And two, if you count Lucas, but I was thinking of Danny Bly also. And Bernard, yeah, 3. So they've actually got some of the best hacking talent in the silo on their side. So I don't know. I'm just wondering, like, I'm presuming she's got plans within plans.
Yes, I would think so.
Yeah. But I will say that the book version of these events will be of the field trip will be the topic of this week's spoilercast deep dive, which does link to another episode we did recently in the spoilercast. I won't say which episode here, but I'll say we kind of glossed over that. We mentioned it, but glossed over it. So we'll talk about that in more detail, but also talk about what Jules was up to at that time and why she didn't do the field trip herself. But final question for this section. Where's Nurse Amy?
Yeah.
Where's Deputy Jerry? Were they locked up after helping Juliette?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. I mean, Nurse Amy, certainly. I don't... Yeah. Deputy Jerry might get away with, I'm just a dumb deputy and she tricked me. But yeah, Nurse Amy's not getting away with that.
Well, her story was like, she was there when I left her.
Yeah.
I don't know. I went to the bathroom. I don't know. Yeah. So I hope they turn up soon and we find out what happened to them.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to check in on what's been going on meanwhile at Martha's workshop and elsewhere. So meanwhile, in Martha's workshop, apparently having decided the distraction of Jules was enough to protect Bernard and leave him in that workshop, not wanting to move the badly injured man again. The rest have left Bernard to rest, although Jules stops by to update Martha on her conversation with the voice. But then, left alone, Martha and Bernard find surprising enjoyment in each other's company. So this is where we find out Lucas and Kennedy were moved down the hall, which I need to know. I need to check in on that conversation. As I said before, I'm glad they've made it clear this isn't going to become a romance, but it's interesting that they're forming an allied,
a bond.
Mm-hmm. It's funny that so Bernard has this like tape in his pocket that's been folded into a heart, which he says he knows is a good luck charm and apparently counts as a relic. You think someone had it in their pocket when they came in?
They said they found it in a pillowcase.
Yeah. So why is it a relic?
Somebody might have it in their pocket when they came in, I guess, but
because it's just tape, right? Anyone could do it.
Yeah, it's just tape.
So since the episode's already come out as I'm editing this, I can say that on the Discord there's been some chatter calling this relic a candy wrapper of sorts, and that makes a lot of sense to me, both in how it looks, but also in that it would make it. Presumably they don't have that sort of mylar wrapping or whatever, so that would make it more of something unusual. Okay, just putting that thought out there. Back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the seeing this relationship. I think it's interesting that Martha has the right personality that maybe Bernard needs right now, because she's giving him some tough love, and I think it both helps him keep up his humor, but also it's this moment where he kind of wants to be humbled and assuage his guilt for all the horrible things he's done, and she's willing to be like, yeah, I've got some things to say to you.
Yeah. I wonder when he'll start to talk about Judge Meadows.
Yeah.
Because that is like that is probably, it's the worst thing we've seen him do. I was going to say it's the worst thing he's done, but I'll change that to the worst thing we've seen him do.
Yeah. Well, Shirley and Knox did bring it up last week. So,
they did, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Martha says now basically like anyone who's on Juliette's side is on my side. But she does admit that, letting go of her anger toward him isn't easy. But it's a hope punk show. It's about radical forgiveness. No, I'm not saying she has. But when you forgive someone, it's not like a one step, you blink and it's over situation. Yeah. What did you think about Bernard's story? He says, even as a boy, they wanted me dead. It's not a joke. I was too smart and too quiet. I'm like, who wanted you dead? Your parents? Who wanted you dead? The algorithm? How would you know that?
Yeah.
You found out later?
Yeah, I took that to be the algorithm, and he found out later.
Okay. Yikes.
Yeah, but yikes, yeah.
But I mean, so he, like, if you're too smart, you have to become the head of IT or die?
Or yeah, the head of IT, or one of the judicial raiders, or
I don't know that they want them to be smart. I think they want them to follow orders.
No, sorry, not the judicial raiders. The people in the broom closet, the Diego obvious.
Yeah, but do they want them to be smart either? I don't know.
I think they have to be smart up until a point to do that role.
Observant, at least.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, speaking of learning things, there's also some trouble at school. Robert Sims waits at home for his wife with a look of frustration painted across his face. His son, Anthony Oscar Coleman, looks contrite. Robert tells Camille that Anthony was sent home for stealing 12 credits from his teacher's desk. And if it happens again, he'll be expelled and sent to work in supply. This breaks open the tension between the pair, and Camille tells her husband to stop everything he's been doing, as he, rightfully, accuses her of watching him. So what do you think of this scene?
Yeah. I didn't think it was frustration. I thought it was a mixture of frustration and anger that was on.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
That was on his face.
That's what I think frustration is.
Yeah. I thought this conversation between Robert and Camille was really interesting. Also,
Mhm.
I thought it was interesting. I wonder whether this was an idle threat because, um, it's the judge and it's the head of IT. But I wonder whether for other kids whose parents were in that position, whether this would be an idle threat actually.
Yeah. But yeah, he points that out, and she's like, "That's your solution?" And he's like, "That's not what I said." "No, of course not. I have to read between the lines always." And then she accuses him of avoiding the problem, and he says, "I'm the one who dealt with talking to everyone about it." And he says, "If you feel guilt, it's not my fault." And she says, "Are we still talking about Anthony?" And he says, "I'm not sure."
Yeah, it's just like, oh dear. Yeah, clear communication, people. But also in this case, there can't be clear communication because she'd have to like send him out to clean, I guess.
Yeah. Can I ask? Okay, so I saw, I can't remember if it was on Blue Sky or Threads, but someone I thought British was like, another reason I can never move to the US is the pronunciation of Anthony. How else might it be
It's
pronounced?
the H is silent, so it's Anthony.
Okay, I
Yeah,
see.
it's not
So you think you're
Anthony.
French or something?
Yeah, it's Anthony. Yeah,
You think you're French. All right.
yeah.
All right. Anthony, because there's a TH in it.
There's a TH.
Well, it's funny. I always think of the Eddie Izzard thing about the pronunciation of herbs versus herbs because there's a fucking H in it. Oh. So yeah, apparently supply is a punishment now too. So what do we think? Like, what's the hierarchy of punishments? Outside the worst, then mines,
Outside
then
the worst,
trash,
then trash. Well, then recycling, then
no, not recycling, but picking up the stuff at the
Yeah.
end of the trash chute. Yeah.
yeah, and then supply.
Okay. All right. It's interesting, yeah, that Glenda was still moving up the punishment supply chain by moving from mines to supply.
Yes. Yeah.
So Anthony, he claims that he didn't steal these credits. Apparently, another kid said he did, and Anthony blames it on someone else. And it's not clear whether he's blaming it on the person who blamed him or on a third kid. What do you think? Do we believe him? Like, why would he do this? Why would someone blame or frame him if he didn't?
I mean, I took this as a cry for help and attention on Anthony's part because both of his parents are like extremely distracted at the moment, and like particularly Robertson seems to veer between the two extremes of like paying a lot of attention to Anthony and then no attention. So yeah, I just took it that yes, he did steal the credits, and this is kind of a cry for help and attention because this kid has been through some real stuff at the moment, and yeah, he probably needs a bit. He probably needs some therapy, to be honest.
I did wonder. I mean, he seemed insistent it wasn't him, so I guess I trusted the kid a little more than you did. But then I wonder, like, this storyline in general, is it a way of cracking open the tension between the Sims? And, as you say, an expression of Anthony's reaction to that tension? Or will it come back somehow and tie into any of the larger plots in any way?
No, I think it's just a framing device for the Sims' marriage, to be honest.
Okay. And the other thing that I wonder, I said that I thought maybe Camille had other reasons for people wanting to forget things. Maybe she just, rather than pulling rank, she's like, the teachers will just forget.
Yeah, the teachers won't realize.
They won't expel him if they don't know. But there is like real worry. There's, real genuine worry coming through. And this also, it reminds me of something that you kind of predicted last week. So I'll give you some more partial internet.
I'm getting a lot of partial internet points this week.
It's adding up to whole internet points. But it's basically, he's like, you think I can't spot a tail? When she's like, stop doing what you're doing. It's like, you think I can't spot a tail? And she's like, you're making me afraid, Rob. whatever you're hiding, when I find out what it is, I'm going to have to do something about it. Which, yeah, you said that the voice might tell her to take out her
Yes.
husband.
Yeah.
No. And then after this is when you mentioned the voice accuses Camille of picking an argument about Juliette's plan to get the kids, but obviously she's upset about this. And she goes off in this rant about family, like about all the pressures on her, but also, yeah, about like, but I have a family, I'm a wife and I'm a mother and da da da. And then it made me wonder, does the algorithm have any best practices about not appointing people with families for this reason? Because we know Bernard didn't have a family. We know Meadows didn't have a family. Lucas didn't when he was appointed. But obviously Camille was a desperate choice in a desperate situation.
Yeah, I think you are right there. I think the algorithm would much rather have somebody like Bernard who not just doesn't have a family, but doesn't really have any close friends either, doesn't really have any deep human relationships. I mean, he did have a relationship with Meadows, but that was about it as far as we know.
Presumably after he became and she became his shadow. Yeah, and this is when we get the therapist speak thing where like the voice is like, you're emotionally exhausted and need to find a moment to reflect, but acknowledging your negative feelings has started the process. Your breathing has started to normalize, and you were chosen. So yeah, all of this, I wonder if it's following some therapist script, whether that's like, words on paper or, a programming script.
I wondered whether if it is a AI, whether the algorithm might have been modeled after Victor.
Yeah. That's a good question. We know, I mean, there's got to be a reason he's in this, and he's at we'll get to it when we get to, well, I mean, we're not going to talk about Victor specifically today, so we might as well talk about him now. But obviously he works at the Stenson Clinic, where we have also seen Henry, but we've seen Henry literally everywhere. So.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. But obviously dealing with the memory drugs that are being used in the silo now. So I think it's fair to make links between Victor and the psychological aspects we see in the Pact and the Order. And
because it's possible. It's not a certainty, but it's possible that the algorithm's original programming was modeled after an individual.
Although, considering we know that the AI expert is going to be this Colin Hanks character, Stenson, who, by the way, is new to the show, but I'm wondering who he's. I think, okay, so I'll say one thing about the book to show adaptation is that the book was written, I don't remember when the second book came out, but let's say like 2011, something like that. So written like nearly 15 years ago. So technology has updated, and I think that affects how it's being portrayed on screen, and where there's more emphasis on AI on screen.
Okay.
But I think, like, for example, I don't think the words AI were used in the book, but as I said, Abby and I did talk about the fact that they are, like, there is constant calculations and things happening. So this new Pear Stenson character, I think, is a reflection of that. And I think maybe a changing of a different character, but updating it to the technology of today.
Yeah.
I'll say, I wonder with the AI of it all, how much Pear Stenson is attached to this, and then the Stenson Clinic and Victor work. Anyway, yeah.
Okay.
One would presume in a television show, it's all connected in some way. But what's interesting is we see an inconsistency with things that the voice has said now, and there could be several reasons for this, and I want to see what you think it is. We heard the voice tell Camille in the past that she was chosen for being a manipulative liar.
Yes.
Now we hear the voice telling Camille that she was chosen for her capability, because not just anyone can do this.
Well, I don't think those two things are necessarily contradictory. But
because she kind of asked if it was for her capability, and the voice at that time said, No, it's because you're liar, pants on fire.
But yeah, like, it depends how you want to look at, how you want to frame capability, I suppose. But yeah, the algorithm is definitely trying to comfort her in that moment.
Okay.
No question. But it's like you say, is that genuine? Is that from a place of genuine empathy, or is it from a place of, how am I going to get this meat sack with arms and legs to do what I want it to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it could be manipulative. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get on to what I assume might have been a highlight for you. You have a gathering of some of your personal favorites. We have Buddy Cop rebonding. On another level, Sheriff Paul Billings, Chinaza Uche, and Deputy Hank Murphy, Billy Postlethwaite, reconnect. Billings tells Hank what he's learned. Thefts from Critical Supply mean that there are only 2 years of daylight bulbs remaining. They agree that the light bulb theft and murder of Orla Kent seem connected, and that finding the answers to one will likely lead to answers for the other. So they pay a visit to Mark Chambers, George Robinson, head of tool fabrication, and Mark insists he knows nothing about the thefts, giving extra attitude to Sheriff Billings. But Deputy Hank, for whom Mark clearly has a bit more respect, urges him to take the seriousness of the situation to heart. Billings offers to help him find the identity of the 2 raiders who killed Mark's best friend during the rebellion if he'll tell them what he knows. So he does. He says the weapon he made was for Knox, and if they want to find a thief, they should look into Knox's father, who used to steal diamond drill bits from Supply, though he seems to be out of the game now. Now, I'll just say, as far as the diamond drill bits, my father worked in construction, so I learned at a very young age that they are not pretty things. They're not like, they are just basically like you take the scraps, the diamond dust and scraps, and coat them on the drill bits, because diamond it's often called the hardest substance on Earth. It's the hardest common substance on Earth, relatively common substance on Earth. But in terms of jewelry, I'm like, you could bedazzle any old piece of metal and get a similar effect.
Okay.
So, yeah. But I guess standards are low in the silo, so you could make it pretty. But I'm just saying you could make it pretty for cheaper.
Without it being
being actual diamond drill bits. Yeah, but I guess these drill bits would be in Critical Supply, because it's not like they're getting diamond dust out of the mines here.
No, that's a good point.
So was Knox's dad already stealing from Critical Supply back then?
Ooh.
And okay, we'll put a pin in that one. But about Snarky Marky, who is peak snarky this time.
Yeah, he was.
Peak snark. Although he was also looking rougher in the way that Billings did after sleeping on the couch in Carla's office. Like he hasn't been sleeping well.
Maybe.
I don't know if this... I mean, he looked worse to me than he did a few episodes ago when we saw him.
That's true. But he is also, like you mentioned, he is also grieving as well.
Yeah.
For a friend who was killed in the rebellion. So, yeah, maybe that explains it.
Yeah, so we found out that his friends... I looked up the name, and there's no connection yet to a Lee Torgensen, who was thrown over for using a weapon which Billings points out was presumably made by Mark. Like, Billings, I mean, both of them were being awful to each other.
Yes, they were. They were.
Like, he unleashed on Billings. He said, this is the other Holston message: "You're not a sheriff, you're an accident. You got the job by default. Now you're standing here wearing Holston's hand-me-downs, and they're one size too big." Like, damn.
but also, are you wearing Holston's hand-me-downs? Because how many sheriff's uniforms are there?
True. They probably adjust them, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then he says, "You want to arrest someone, arrest your wife. You think people don't know about her and the outsiders trying to get us all killed."
Burn.
Damn. and like Hank is poor Hank is just like put in the middle of a bunch of angry men this episode, and he's like, "Not cool, Mark. Too far, too far."
Yeah,
Paraphrasing.
Hank is very much playing the peacemaker. He's been uber conciliatory.
Yeah. But Mark, no, like he's given all of his fucks away with his friend. Like he threw his fucks in his friend's grave instead of an apple, although presumably his friend was put in the incinerator.
Yeah, and I mean, he never had a lot of fucks to give in the first place. He was never richly endowed with fucks.
No, that's true. They were taken from him at a very young age, I'll say. But he does make a good point here. He's like, "What are you going to do, Mr. Sheriff? Drag me out of here? That'll look great." Like, it's not good optics. It's true. It's not. I do wonder from Billings' side, like, how is he going to feel about turning over the names of 2 raiders that he knows it's for likely retribution, even if they are bad uns? Like, does Billings think they did the wrong thing, even given the fact they were reacting to a rebel with a weapon? But also now his wife is a rebel. So does that change his perspective?
Yeah. No, that's a good question. But I mean, also, well, Billings is out of fucks to give this episode as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, part of me is like, I hope one of the raiders was that head raider Johnny we saw last time, who told Knox he should have burned with the gunpowder, and then like Mark can Dracarys him instead.
Yeah.
Or the other ones I thought of were the 2 judicial goons. You remember from last season when Lucas went to Judge Meadows' apartment and these 2 judicial goons named Tyler and Jesse were absolute asses to him?
Yeah, they could well be those 2.
I did find it funny that Billings just like, in terms of not having fucks. Well, he did urge the secrecy, but he's like, "Hank, my old friend, let me just tell you the biggest secret I learned 2 seconds ago." But I guess he trusts them. Were you happy to see your boys back together?
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to see a good chunk of Billings and Down Deep Deputy Hank.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad they're not dragging out the reveals,
Yeah.
10 episodes feels like a lot these days in a season, but it's still not that much.
Yeah, it's not that much.
What do we think about the fact that Mark, again, this is sort of a parallel with Anthony, but Mark says he doesn't steal things, but his criminal record, which we went through in detail in episode 3 of this season, says that he did steal things. Like, so yeah, we went through quickly that he was arrested shortly after his father's death for petty theft of mechanical supplies. 6 months later for suspicion of it, and then released. And then another year and a few months later for possession of contraband machine parts, which he did trash duties for 6 months for. And then finally another year after that for possession and assembly of contraband machine parts, and was sent to the mines. Do these things not count as stealing, or is this just like, I assume that he was motivated by being orphaned recently and was just desperate, but could he have been framed, or is there other extenuating circumstances?
No, I just took it that he was yanking. Billings' chain, to be honest.
Yeah, he does say, "I only abide with pact. I only associate with pact-abiding citizens." You know that, but that was clearly like,
yeah,
he's just him, making a joke. I said he might be snarky Marky, but he's no narky Marky. And knowing this background of him, it's very clear why he has a distrust of authority figures.
Yeah.
And it is remarkable that he still seems to respect Hank.
Yeah, and he also seems to respect Holston as well, which is interesting.
And Knox. And we learned in season 2, episode 2, that when we first met Mark, we learned that Knox's dad helped him get out of somewhere, and that which we now know as the mines. So it is something that he said, talk to him, the guy who helped me get out of the mines.
Yeah.
Sick the police on them. But I suppose it's also, it was the temptation of of getting the names of the people who killed his friend, but also a trust of Hank, I would suppose.
Yeah.
No. All right. So we've also got this leads into some daddy issues where Billings and Hank pay a visit to Knox, who's with Shirley at the construction site. And Knox is not extremely keen to talk about his father with other worries on his mind. Billings ignores Knox's warnings that this is not a good moment. And in an increasingly heated exchange, Billings accuses Knox of trying to protect his father, unaware that Knox hasn't spoken to the man in years. When Hank tells Knox their questions are related to a murder, the murder of former Shadow to the head of supply, Orla Kent, Knox decides, after a heart-to-heart with Shirley, to go seeking his father where he last knew him to be, the mines. He was going to question the man himself. Only when he gets there, head of the mines, Ed Harwood, Ned Dennehy, informs him that Papa Knox died years ago. So, yeah, again, poor Hank, always put in the middle of this stuff.
Yeah.
I wrote here, I was being snarky, Elysia. I said, poor Hank diffusing tempers this whole episode, in parentheses, like he should have diffused the bomb instead of letting Papa Nichols take his own life. Sorry, that's for you, Abby. But we can see Hank knows Knox. He's like, just leave it. Trust me. Just not now,
Do you think he knows at least part of the story that Knox tells Shirley?
Probably, because we don't really know Hank's background entirely, but considering he's a down deep deputy, chances are he comes from down there.
Yeah.
So they knew each other, presumably.
Yeah, I just got the sense that like Hank knows at least some of what Knox says later on.
Mm-hmm. That's fair, yeah. And so what does Knox say about his dad?
Well, basically that he was a career petty criminal and really sort of enjoyed the criminal life and was sent to the mines on multiple occasions, and that so he had to be raised by a single mother. They didn't have a lot of money. He talks about wanting one of those Freedom Day lanterns, and I see you put in the notes, you hope that Shirley buys him one if there is another Freedom Day, which would be cute. But actually, that wasn't the worst part of it. The worst part of it was when he returned from the mines and he got into fights with Knox's mum. I did wonder whether that meant that the relationship between Knox's father and his mother was an abusive one.
At least emotionally. So
yeah. And yeah, that Knox and his dad had never reconciled. And that Knox didn't have any particular interest in reconciling with him.
So here's it.
And also, and Shirley's a really good listener.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, they're a good couple. I hope those crazy kids make it.
Yeah.
Like I said, Knox is already dead in the book, so I don't know. So is Shirley's book husband, Mark. But okay, a detail that was slipped in here that stuck out to me was, so he said, yeah, his dad kept getting sent to the mines because of all of his trouble and trading stolen goods and all that. And he says he just loved that life more than us, and meaning the criminal life. But he said his dad was supposedly a great engineer. I'm like, that's an interesting detail.
Yes.
Thoughts more?
Yeah. Well, great engineer. Would a great engineer die in the mines?
That's the thing. So first of all, of course, Ed Harwood was a maximum dick about it. He's like, I want to talk to my dad. He's like, bring a shovel. He died 2 years ago. Like, Jesus. First of all, that nobody would even tell Knox that his dad died, or anyone else, because Mark clearly didn't know either. But I'm like, are we sure he's dead? Or am I putting on my clown makeup again and pulling another Orla where I'm like, no, she's breathing, and then no, she's a hole in the back of her head?
I think he might well be alive. Like, why bring this up if he's just dead? Yeah, and also, like, I don't trust Ed Harwood as far as I could throw a shovel at him. So no, I think Knox Senior is somewhere in the mines.
Yeah, I mean, why would is Harwood indeed? Is there actually something with the mines and this whole theft situation? Because
It feels like it. It
we
seems
know
like
rebar's missing, which is something they use on the top of the mines. But we do know Orla was killed before she went into the mines, before she was brought into the mines, her body. So then I thought like maybe they're trying to frame someone by leaving her body there. But yeah, or what would he be up to
and
in
also,
there?
yeah, and would whatever he's up to, would it involve light bulbs? And if so, what
Yeah.
on earth could it be?
Would it cause a collapse like the one that we heard about at the council meeting?
Yeah.
Hmm. Ed Harwood's a piece of work, though. He's indoctrinating new convicts, basically, and he's like, "You're not here because you stole or cheated or broke the pact. You're here because you were too stupid to get away with it." Damn. And you see, like, one of them just looks like a little princess who's definitely not. Oh, I don't know how she's gonna do well. I did another shout out to the cinematography. To Anna Valdez Hanks was a cinematographer this episode. There's some great cinematography because it's also this shot of there's a Mr. Gunton, and I tried to look up. His name didn't seem to be in the credits for who the actor was who played him, but just a striking low angle shot of this man with dark skin and with his beard against it, just like looking very striking and also imposing because of the angle of the shots, and just like you can just imagine this is what these new indoctrinees see is this man insulting them and this other very stoic man who's going to set them up, and it's like, oh honey, you are not in Kansas anymore. All right, let's take our final break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about the continuing investigation from our best boy duo. All right, we've got some double Glenda trouble. Hank brings up the Harwood connection about the tension Ed Harwood and his daughter Glenda, Gemma Acosta, had with Orla Kent. Billings says talking to Glenda wasn't helpful, but maybe they can track her and Orla's movements if they can get into that surveillance room he knows must exist. The men pay a visit to head judicial goon Emerson to ask her where this room is, and she claims the room on 19 has been shut down. But Billings, who's been rewriting the pact and knows the cameras are still there, calls bullshit. So Emerson takes them there, and Billings kicks everyone out and then admonishes Emerson for clearly lying about all the cameras still up around the silo. But Emerson does as requested and shows Billings and Hank the mines as the exterminators were going in, and they see Glenda Harwood amongst them. But then, when she shows them supply at the same time, Glenda is there as well. Thoughts on this?
I don't know. It's interesting, isn't it?
I mean, my brain, so this is again this whole light bulb theft plot and Orla murder is new, so I'm free to speculate. My brain goes in two directions. One is AI/deep fake, a deep fake situation for one of them. Which again, I points again to Glenda being framed, which is what I've been suspecting. Or could it be something else, like someone was messing with a video timestamp for? They couldn't be messing with the one where the miners rush in because, where the exterminators rush in because that happened at a specific time, but they could have messed with the timestamp of supply. I don't know why. I don't.
Yeah.
That seemed. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I mean, also, are we absolutely sure that the person in the morgue is Orla Kent?
Otherwise, they would have to change a face to look like her. It's easier to change your face on video than in person.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, they presumably don't have DNA testing.
No, I would assume not.
So,
but we saw her ourselves as viewers. We saw her, and it was her face.
Maybe it's just somebody that looks like her.
I mean, it was, unless she has a twin, but I don't think so. We would know that by now. We met her other sister.
We met one sister.
Yeah. I mean, but presumably, if she had a twin, we would know that by now.
Would we?
Why wouldn't we? I mean, her whole family was like, you think it's like a black sheep twin who's been kicked out of the family? Her parents I don't think her parents could do that from what we saw of them. And even if it weren't her, they would still have to mess with the video somehow to have two Glendas in two places at the same time.
That's true. That's true.
So since you brought up Occam's razor last time, I'll apply that here and say it's something about the video.
But I don't know how you would fiddle about with the video. So yeah, like the identical twin thing seems unlikely, but so does the video.
I mean, we can fiddle with the video in our time to a certain extent.
Yeah, but they don't have
and we
the
know
technology.
Why not? I mean, we know that Stenson is an AI guy. We know there's AI doing all these algorithm calculations.
In the silo, they wouldn't have that technology.
Yeah, no, but that's the question. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So if it were someone fiddling with the video, would it be someone external to the silo, and why? I don't know.
Yeah, but why?
Yeah. Okay, good question. I'll say I shout out to Diego Obvious, Akikotabe, back with a vengeance. You're not supposed to be in here.
Yeah. But Diego Obvious being obvious, living up to his name. So sometimes he's Diego Exposition, but today he is Diego Obvious.
We know. Billings is like, yeah, get out.
Oh yeah, Billings! What a badass Billings drawing a gun on judicial.
He's, yeah, as you said, his field of fucks is fallow.
Yes.
It has been harvested, and there is no more fertile soil for fucks.
Also, if Rick Amundsen is dead, he must be spinning in his grave. Emerson just sits there and does what she's told.
She said, I was following you gassed the mines. Well, first of all, okay. So it seems Billings and Hank just learned about the gassing of the mines. Like, I would have assumed that was public knowledge.
I mean, no, that doesn't make sense because Billings actually went into the mines to recover Orla Kent's body.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Did he not know what was going on? Yeah.
I think what he meant was that they had deliberately gassed the mines with the miners inside. That this wasn't like a fuck up.
Yeah. So, yeah, and Emerson just comes clean immediately. Like, yeah, we were after Lucas Kyle.
Rick Emerson or Robert Sims would be appalled. What are you doing? You are like Chief Judicial Goon. You are letting the side down, Emerson.
I mean, at least she didn't think a stapler was a hard drive.
That's true.
But, I mean, we had this exchange. You gassed the mines. I was following orders. I'm like, this sounds very Final Solution.
That's what Eichmann said.
Exactly, yeah. Who's Eichmann, for anyone who doesn't know?
Sorry, Adolf Eichmann was a senior Nazi official responsible for large parts of the Holocaust. And his defense at his trial literally was he was following orders.
Yeah. I mean, and the gassing part too, like that seems very pointed.
Yeah, that's very pointed.
Yeah. I mean, and of course we've talked a lot about the fascism in the silo. So,
but like Emerson doesn't seem particularly bothered. Mind you, neither was Adolf Eichmann, to be fair, but Emerson doesn't seem to be particularly bothered by any of this.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious about Emerson. We saw her at home, but we don't know. Does she live there alone? What's her deal? Where'd she come from?
I don't know. She's let Judicial down appallingly.
Well, I don't know. Or maybe she saved the silo because she's sharing information.
You're not supposed to share information.
Clear communication.
You're the Chief Judicial Goon. You're not supposed to share information.
In the booklet of The Mystery of the Pez, the Flamekeeper who wrote it says, we need to remember these things in order to have a better future. And she was right.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm assuming it's a she. We just got an initial S for the first name. But anyway. Okay. Final question I have to bring up in this part of the story is Billings clearly was aware there were still cameras, not how many cameras there were. I still have in my mind the question that people kept bringing up earlier when he and Kathleen were arguing in front of the camera in front of the mirror in the bathroom. That people were worried there's a camera behind the mirror in the bathroom, and I'm like, I hope Billings checked for it, but it seems like does Camille know about Kathleen? Did he assume there wasn't? And does Camille know about Kathleen and is just like holding on to that information for when she needs it, like Sims did with Billings and the syndrome, which I hope we'll hear about again more soon.
That seems to have completely gone by the by.
Yeah, there must be. I think I know what it's based on from the book, so I'm assuming it'll come back at some point, but it's been a while since we've heard about it. Yeah. But is that a situation where like Camille does know about Kathleen and the outsiders and is holding on to it? Because it seemed like she didn't. And independently of whether she knows, if we think that the voice might have extra cameras, does the voice know?
I mean, this is the problem with the whole head of IT and Shadow, because at the moment Camille doesn't have a Shadow.
Right.
And so even if she did, it's still only 2 people. So I just think, and this might sound like a bit of a naff excuse, but I just think some stuff is falling through the cracks here. Because, like Camille, we see this earlier in the episode, she is being run ragged by a whole bunch of circumstances. So I just wouldn't be surprised if some stuff just gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, I mean, because it did seem also like the voice didn't know, because if they were searching for Patrick Kennedy the whole time, if they did know Kathleen was connected to that would have been a pretty easy way to find it.
Yes.
So I'm going to assume that there are still no cameras in the Billings apartment. Like that, maybe my headcanon until I hear otherwise is that Billings knew about this, and we know he can pull out a mirror because he did that to find in Juliette's old apartment to find the book, the Georgia book. So he probably pulled it out to check for cameras.
This may also, frankly, be one issue where it's like the writers have gone, yeah, we can't explain everything. Or this show's going to be like...
That's why it's my headcanon, and unless I'm proven wrong, that's what I'm going with. Just for the people who are wondering. And so that brings us to the end of this whole side of the story. The Silo 18 side was, again, we hear that Camille has released the vitamin D+ into the water 2 hours ago. So the question is, what are they going to do from here? And if everyone forgets, that means they would forget most of these plots, except they would presumably quickly rediscover the shortage in the light bulb situation again.
Yes. Yeah. So I think there are a couple of questions here. Firstly, from what we've seen, the vitamin D+ has been released into the water.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just that whole thing with the if it grows arms and legs thing just does make me wonder, because the voice can like demand all at once, but it can't actually put the vitamin D12 in the water itself. The second thing is, assuming that the D12 has been put, the vitamin D+, I don't know why I went D12, the vitamin D+ has been put in the water, how long is it going to take before the effects start to manifest?
Yeah, low and slow. Yeah,
low and slow.
And we've only had gradual. It'll be
2 hours. And also, I'm wondering, does the head of IT, because Robert's been going on about how this will affect Anthony and him, but I just wonder whether the head of IT, specifically Camille, is like drinking bottle, because we know that there is food stored
in the vault.
In the vault.
Mm-hmm.
So is the algorithm going to like insist that she starts drinking bottled water?
Yeah. Yeah, that would make sense, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any other thoughts about the Silo 18 side of the story?
I really want to know what's going on with Orla Kent and and these light bulbs, because this is really twisting my melon. Like, how can they be in two places at once? Emerson needs to get a new job.
What do you want her to do instead?
I don't know.
She can work in supply.
She can work in supply. Go to the mine. I mean, frankly, Camille's going to need a scapegoat for gassing like dozens of miners. So I think it would be poetic justice, frankly, if she ended up in the mines.
I mean, she's helping the good guys. Why are we punishing her?
She's helping the good guys because she had a gun pointed at her.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's doing the right thing, maybe for the wrong lack of backbone reasons.
It's just like, I'm sorry, Amundsen is turning in his grave right now.
And she just woke up from a coma.
That's true. She did just get injected with
spider monkeyed by Amy.
maybe there was some sort of truth serum in that thing as well.
Well, I do assume, like, we don't know what happened with Amy, but I assume Amy put a little bit of the forget drug in there, just enough to like not, so she doesn't remember that Amy did that to her.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Yeah. There's questions still on the table, but we're heating up. We're heating up.
Yeah. Like I said, this episode felt like it was very much the turn into the back half of the season where we're going to start building some momentum.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see. Like, there's things that they're setting up and that I know from the titles of the episodes have got to play out. And we know certain things like now finally, we're going to see, presumably very soon, Silo 17 one way or another, catch up with what's going on there. Just, and this whole, like I said, this whole thing with the light bulbs and Orla Kent and all that is all new to me. So I'm like dying to know. And what is the field trip? Are Lucas and Patrick really going to go outside?
Yeah. And if so, will they make it? And will they make it back?
But I'll say what I am especially excited about getting heated up is the before times, because I know this is where a lot of the big answers come from, and I'm really excited about that coming out, especially because, again, they've been taking different paths to get there, as this show does. So let's jump into the titular The Drive of this episode. Picking up from the episode 5 cliffhanger, Junior Senator Daniel Keene, Ashley Zuckerman, and disgraced journalist Helen Drew, Jessica Henwick, are trapped in a shady rental minivan that's out of their control, driving down a deserted road in the middle of the night. They bicker about whether it is or ever would have been safe to try to jump out, and Daniel tries pulling the key out of the ignition, but it does nothing to slow the hurtling process. When Helen tries throwing the key out the window, that also doesn't stop them. There's no brakes, no steering. Helen gives Daniel a nail file, which he uses to try to pry open a panel under the steering wheel, trying to find the line to the brakes, but all he does is get a gash in his open hand. The pair try to hail a pair of passers-by on the road, but it only spooks the other car. And I want to say, I noticed in the credits, the woman in the car is credited as trophy wife. But the trophy wife's car drives off to get away from them. So Helen suggests they hide in the back of the van, hoping that someone will see an empty car driving itself and report it to the police. Only when police vehicles do arrive, they have no intention of stopping the van. They are there as an escort. When Daniel and Helen spot amongst them the mysterious meddling man whom viewers who pay attention to the credits or listen to this podcast know is named Henry, read Bernie, they become resigned to just ride it out and see what he wants. So what did you think of The Drive?
Well, firstly, there is a huge amount of flirting and, sustained eye contact going on in this episode.
She fixed his boo-boo.
Yeah,
It's like short TV 101 touchy.
and we find out she kept the Pez dispenser.
Yeah, didn't even know I had it. Really?
Really?
She gives him a flirty smirk.
Yeah. And also we find out what the journalistic ethics problem was. And basically Helen had to pretend she'd invented a story in order to protect a source.
Yeah.
So if Helen's stock went down last week, it's gone back up in my eyes this week.
Yeah, so just to pick at that then, since you brought it up. So Daniel apologizes and Helen picks on the tense, but he's like, I'm sorry, basically I accused you of fraud because other people said you did a fraud at the Post. And she's like, you really didn't Google me? And he's like, I started to read it and then ... Well, the end then, because I remember 2 episodes ago is Sam called. So that's what distracted him. But it was, she just comes out and tells him now there was a piece on drug addiction amongst congressional staffers. And and basically someone says like, oh, our like people's bosses are doing it too. And it's like, oh, quelle surprise. I mean, yeah. But specifically the Speaker of the House was implicated. Do you want to tell people who the Speaker of the House is for non-Americans?
So the Speaker of the House is, it's important to note, it's not the Speaker like in the UK Parliament. They are not a non-partisan figure. They are the leader of the largest party in the House of Representatives. So it's their role to manage the legislative agenda and to try and get their party's agenda enacted. So they are both a very public and a very powerful individual.
Yeah. So I'll say like Nancy Pelosi was the Speaker of the House for a long time for people who recognize that name. Like, so it's very high level person that's being implicated.
And there have been a number of speakers over the decades who've had to resign in disgrace for various scandals.
Yeah.
I don't think any of them involving illegal drugs.
I mean, I'm sure there's lots of drugs being done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, right now the Speaker of the House is Mike Johnson, but I think probably Nancy Pelosi did it for such a long time. More non-Americans recognize that name. But yeah, so basically what Helen says is that she, in her piece about drug use in, amongst congressional peoples, she changed everyone's details to protect her sources. But there was... She named someone Sharon, who she said, who was the one who implicated the Speaker. And she knew that was going to be the juiciest tidbit. And then she starts getting pressure from legislators and prosecutors and the Capitol Police to get Sharon's real name, because now this is a crime they want to investigate. And then the magazine, The Washingtonian, outed the alleged Sharon as saying her real name was Jillian Akins from the Speaker's office. And Helen's like, whoops, that's actually true. So Helen lied and said that she made up the source to protect the real Jillian. And she's basically, Daniel's like, you gave up your career for a source. And she said, I gave up my career because I failed Jillian.
Yeah.
So now she's back up on the up with you. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. That was a very moral thing to do.
Yeah. I'm waiting for more romance in this show to heat up. So I was glad to see the flirting, like
outrageous amounts of flirting.
Did like the Pez dispenser, something to help you remember the world's worst blind date? It wasn't a date. So 2 questions about that. First of all, presumably Charlotte set up the meeting. I guess she told Daniel, you're meeting someone. What did she tell him that he thought it was a date?
Yeah.
How did she communicate this to him? We can't ask Charlotte now.
Yeah, Charlotte doesn't know, but yeah.
Daniel knows.
Yeah, it's like how, we're gonna need a flashback here.
So, and which is more not a date? Then that first not a date, their overnight not a date in Palmer's apartment, or this not a date flirting in the back of the van?
Oh, definitely the first one is the most not a date. Because there was some massive flirting going on here.
So that was the biggest misunderstanding, and now there really
Yes.
is chemistry brewing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. About the whole throwing the key thing, that made me anxious too, because I'm like, well, what if you do stop that? But she's like, if we get the fob away from the van, won't it just stop working? He's like, I hope not.
I hope not, because we're in the middle of the road.
If your kid tosses it and you shut down the middle of I-95, not safe. And I'll say I-95 is the biggest highway that runs up and down the eastern U.S.
Okay. So
connects like New York, Washington, Philly, in between, blah, blah, blah. And then, so the whole self-driving thing, she says, this is just like what happened to Charlotte. And he says, you think someone in Iran is driving this? He says, I don't know, but someone is. So what mechanism do we think they use? Because this didn't look like a smart car. Like, it looks like a older, more basic car.
Yes. Yeah, it does. So I'm not sure how whoever's doing this has been able to do this. I'm guessing just TV jiggery pokery.
I mean, we know, obviously, Stenson's been sounding the alarm on the AI and how it can be used by hackers, right?
Yeah.
So
this does kind of do a bit of damage to your. We're in an alternative 2010s scenario.
No, because it's full on AI.
Yeah.
But do we think someone hacked this, and how?
Oh, well, how? I have no idea, but somebody clearly did.
What do you think about the idea that Stenson might have been on the Nimitz, the carrier that Charlotte flew from when she met the what the fuck cloud?
No, I don't. No.
He said because he feared the planes would be compromised, and they were. But no, you don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Why do you think he was there?
I think he's the one doing he may be the one doing the compromising rather than anything else.
Do you think Charlotte and her squadron were guinea pigs?
Possibly. Although that still doesn't explain the what the fuck cloud. So I'm not saying that's not what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying it can't be all that happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And then we have more of the flirting and the
I'm gonna be quite annoyed if the what the fuck cloud is just like some massive MacGuffin.
What would make it a MacGuffin to you?
Not a MacGuffin. What am I? Sorry, we're recording this kind of late at night. A red herring, not a MacGuffin.
Oh, what would make it a red herring to you? It's something. It's something weird, right?
Yeah, it's something weird. But like, what if it just happened to be there and actually it doesn't really affect the plot in like any major way?
Well, that would be weird because it looks weird. So it has to be
weird.
Explained.
Yeah, and there was the whole thing with that viscous liquid. Yeah.
I don't know why I don't think it's a liquid, but anyway, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's viscous. Because it's floaty. It's floaty. Oil is not floaty. It's oil, it's Cody, it's not floaty. But okay, so we get some more back of the van bonding. It's like no one will notice either of them missing, and they kind of go through who won't notice them missing. And Helen calls herself out as a shitty friend who doesn't call people back for weeks. But I'm like, would Palmer, the apartment that they're staying in,
true. Yeah,
he was supposed to be back about now.
He would notice.
Yeah, he probably comes back and expects Helen to be there because presumably she's like, "Hey, I'm staying at your place."
Yeah,
and then she's just missing. And we also find out that Victor asked Daniel to stay away from Charlotte for a bit while she's getting some like intensive treatment, which I'm like, I thought you needed him around to help her recover her memories.
Yeah, I don't trust. What kind of intensive treatment?
I mean, it does. I do think it must be triggered by the fact that Helen went to visit and she did get rather upset about that. So whether it's like protecting her from remembering or protecting them from her remembering what Helen would trigger and like the association with Daniel he's now learned. Maybe that's what the focused therapy is about. But he said she's doing better, so there's
yes.
that.
Well, maybe we only have Victor's word for that.
No. And then we get the other good news is they haven't killed us. So he says, Daniel says, which leaves the possibility we could be going someplace nice. And they both laugh.
Yeah, and then he does one of those Kennedy-esque smiles.
And she says, we are so fucked. So, yeah.
Where did you think they were going? Because they end up at kind of an airport.
Well, let's set that up. Hangering out. Daniel and Helen arrive at their destination, Henry stepping out of his car to greet them as the rest of the escort drives off. They are at a private jet hangar, and Senator Thurman, Laura Innes, walks out and asks them if they'd like to help save the world. They're at some sort of private jet hangar. The question, I suppose, is that her jet? Does she have that kind of money? Is that someone else's jet? Is that Stenson's jet?
I took that as being Stenson's jet.
Yeah, because he's the rich one.
Yeah.
What do you think any of this means?
I don't know. Save the world from what? You can't cut the episode there. Save the world how?
And the fact that Henry showed up like this, does this mean he works for Thurman? Or I suppose if we think that Stenson's jet, it's also a possibility he works for Stenson.
Yeah. Well, I mean, does Thurman work for Stenson? I think.
Yeah, he could be his fixer. Either way, he's the fixer for one of them.
No, I'm saying, does the senator work for?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
not literally, but does he sort of?
He funds her.
Yes, yeah.
Her political career. And she's in his pocket.
Is she like a tame senator for him?
I mean, I think the casting is brilliant if she is sinister, because she comes out like with her Georgia charm and like, how would you like to save the world? Can I ask? Yeah.
Sorry, by the way, as an ER fan,
I was going to ask about that. What is she like in ER? Her character?
The first thing is, it's so weird seeing her walk without a limp and a cane. Because in ER, she had some kind of hip. Her character, Kerry Weaver, had some kind of hip problem that meant she walked with a limp and a cane. Except in, I think, about season 7, they had to actually have the character get corrective surgery.
Because it was hurting her?
Yeah, because acting a limp was actually giving Laura Innes a limp.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so Kerry Weaver sort of comes into the early seasons of ER as...
So ER spoilers now, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's 20 years old.
Yeah. Go for it. You've been warned.
Yeah, so she comes in as this very efficient, by-the-book manager for the emergency room. And her character initially is very unlikable. You're not, Mark Green and Doug Ross, Anthony Edwards and George Clooney butt heads with her. But as you go along, you start to realise that actually she's making the ER better. But because both Mark Green and Doug Ross are kind of a bit fly by the seat of the pants kind of thing. So she's actually making it more efficient. And you find out actually that she is not as much of a hard ass as she is portrayed at while she's at work. She actually has a very sort of complicated home life. I don't know if I don't know Laura Innes' sexuality, but Kerry Weaver was an early example of a lesbian woman being shown on TV, actually in a lesbian relationship.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I've heard people do like interviews and retrospectives, and I've heard lesbians say, that early representation was quite important to them and was formative. And it's not played for sexy lesbian. It's very much played as a proper, fully formed set of relationships.
Okay.
That she has.
Okay. So, but she's a good guy in that show?
Yeah, they're all good guys in that show. There aren't really bad. The bad guys in ER are all the diseases and horrible accidents people get into.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wonder, like, because it seems like they're really putting on the Southern charm, and
no, she doesn't have Carrie Weaver.
No,
doesn't have
no, she's not. I looked it up, and Laura Innes is not from Georgia, actually, or the South. I forget. I said so in the preseason preview, but she's from, like, I don't know, Michigan or something. Anyway, but just in terms of, like, making her seem very trustworthy,
sinister.
Oh no, I was gonna say the opposite.
I don't know. Like you say, when she's being too charming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, like, it's just the tenor of the show. Like, the show just has me on guard with every new character they introduce at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Do you have any last thoughts on this part of the plot line?
No, not really. I have a horrible feeling that Daniel and Helen, at the end of the day, are either going to go along with the machinations that lead to the silo, or they're going to die a horrible death, because I can't see a third option.
Oh.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I'm not saying like they're going to die. I don't see how they get to the end of season 4 without either going along with the plan or dying.
Do you think the silo system is 100% sinister? Maybe they'll think it's the right thing to do.
I mean, yes, you could come to the conclusion that this is the right thing to do, but they'd still have to go along with the whole safeguard and the forgetting drugs.
Yeah.
As a contingency. But I can't see how.
And also, how much will they be told?
Yeah.
Like, I want to know what she's going to say is saving the world.
Yeah. I can't see Helen and Daniel going along with either of those things. But, like, clearly they can't foil the plan to construct the silo and move people into it. Otherwise, the whole show falls down. And they're not going to do that. So, I can't think of an alternative that doesn't end either with their compliance or their death.
Okay. One other important question, since you and I are both the romantics, who that's not already a couple or heavily flirting do we hope gets together?
You put me on the spot now.
There is a correct answer, but I'm not going to tell you.
I don't know. I'm kind of hoping that Lucas and Juliette might get together at some point.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it will happen. But
no? Why? Because they're both going to die horribly, more doomsaying?
Well, yeah, possibly. And also, like,
he's going to die next week.
And also, like, Juliette clearly isn't over George yet.
Yeah. That is a thing. I'm hoping that, like, I understand why she was into George, and I like that they've expanded his, his plot and his meaning to her and the whole situation versus the book where there's somewhat less. He persists less far into the story, I'll say, his looming presence. But I am at this point hoping that has some closure and can focus on non-George things. Like,
so what's your answer to that question?
I plead the fifth.
Okay.
All right, but we will find out maybe more next week. Our full weekly coverage will continue, including, of course, weekly extras again in the subscriber feeds. The book club is an extra feed available through Supercast or Patreon, where you get ad-free access to all of these episodes, plus weekly bonus episodes while Silo is on, where we dive into the things we can't discuss, book spoilers from these episodes, plus each week a special topic. This week's special topic, again, is the field trips that go on. Like, what is the plan in the books to bring the kids from Silo 17 and what is Juliette doing at the same time? We will discuss that in this week's book club. If you are a monthly subscriber through Supercast or Patreon, then you have access to all that, but also access to past episodes covering everything from Frankenstein to the history of witchcraft, Christmas specials, Beacon 23. Lots to explore there. So thank you so much to our new Silazins over the past couple of weeks. Karen B., Mary L., Jens L., Daniel E., Sandy B., Ben, Linda T., Christopher B., Sherry H., Vanessa L., Aaron H., Leslie, Rachel G., Neil V., Fiona G., and welcome back returnees from prior seasons. And a special thank you to new Storiesin Brenda H. Now, Storiesin is an option that's currently only available through Supercast. I'm looking to see how I can do this through Patreon, but basically it combines the 2 subscriber feeds for this Will Shift Dust podcast, and also there's an extra subscriber feed for my Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast, and you get them together for a reduced price. But if you don't want monthly access to any of this and you just want the silo content, there is also a season pass option where you can get access to the season or seasons of your choice for a one-time fee. And you'll find those options linked in the show notes as well. I have now added a Patreon version of that to manage to get that set up. So feel free to explore. And also explore in the show notes. You'll see our email address, willshiftuspodcast@gmail.com. Would love to hear from you, your thoughts and theories about the season so far and everything else. We will be recording our next feedback episode covering episodes 3 through 6 very shortly after this. So if you hear this and send in a thought, then we might be able to get it in. If not, then we will save it for one of the following episodes or our final mailbag episode at the end of the season. Feel free also to leave comments on the Supercast and Patreon posts as well. And do join the discussion in the Discord, which you will find linked in the show notes. You'll find there a Silo dedicated forum with separate spoiler chats per episode, plus a separate chat for book discussions for those of you who have done that reading. And also check out there the Lorehounds.com website, where you will find the rest of the podcasts in the network. On the Lorehounds main feed, there is weekly House of the Dragon coverage going on. There's going to be, right after this, a music deep dive into the Vampire Lestat season of music. There was just a Supergirl episode released talking also about recent Marvel and DC news, and Jean and I will be releasing later this week a Spider-Man Brand New Day episode, which that was a great movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it, totally recommend it. Do check out also the other affiliates on the network, like my own, the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast, and the new Cosmere Corner covering the Brandon Sanderson books, starting with Mistborn. And I'm starting my read along with their coverage and really enjoying it. So definitely recommend that to you guys as well. It's a very hard fantasy system. Can't wait to sink my teeth into it. And of course, you'll find there my links to my Blue Sky and Threads accounts, which are my social media places to hang out these days. And Luke, where can they find you?
So I am at Luke Middup on Blue Sky. I am being a bit more active in the Discord this season. So if you want to drop me a message in the Discord, it will ping. I've set it so it will ping up on my phone now if you tag me in it. And also I do a podcast with a couple of friends from university, Simon Alvey and Will Cooling, called It Could Be Said. We talk about all things British politics, international politics, culture, sport, and whatever else we feel like talking about. We generally record once a month, so it's a regular but infrequent podcast. And our last episode talked about the new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, his new cabinet, and his priorities.
Okay. Well, we will be back next week to talk about the priorities of no. I was going to make it a thing. Nope. We'll be back next week to see who's going to die and who's going to get together. Hope there's less of the former, more of the latter.
We're lovers, not fighters.
Bye.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.